Hello, I'm Peter Towers, Managing Director of ESS BizTools. Welcome to Accountants Minute. Our theme for the remainder of this year and for the January next year is winning strategies for 2024. I think it's very important for accountants and bookkeepers to really start thinking about how you're going to supply the additional services that many SMEs are looking for. So today we start with strategy number 1. Talent is the key to success. Every time I talk to accountants in public practice, I hear stories about the problem on attracting and retaining accountants. Over the last 12 months, we've run a number of articles featuring experts like Andrew Geddes, Jordan Lowry, and others who have commented about this very important issue of talent attraction and retention. Andrew Geddes, who should need no introduction but has been around this industry for over 40 years and has played a huge part in the development of the accountancy profession in Australia, had this to say a year ago. Partners of accountancy firms are saying that there are not enough of them, young accountants. But no, there are enough of them. They've chosen not to work in the profession because they've been asked to do compliance work only and to obtain 80% productivity, which has caused people to say, I'm not sure I want to work in that environment. Geddes went on to say, I think accountants need to look at what they've asked people to do, their involvement with clients, and taking them out on client visits as part of a business focus of what the outcomes that our stakeholders want. Andrew's made some suggestions along the lines that I just indicated to you, that partners and senior managers need to have the younger accountants working with them to give them a real feel for what this industry is all about. And I think it is really highlighting the need for a diversification of accountancy firm services. Instead of only having 5 or maybe 10% of what we generally refer to as advisory work, I think your aim should be at least 50-50 advisory and compliance. And then you will be supplying interesting and challenging work, which I believe will keep your accounting team members happy because they will be doing work that is different and they can see the benefit of it as it flows through to their clients. So we've got all that material there. I also referred back to the CommBank Accounting Market Pulse report last year's, where they said the only limitation that accountants face is the worsening talent shortage. I haven't run into anyone anywhere in Australia who's told me that that has changed. Accountants Daily also had an article that said that 70% of employed accountants were looking around to see if there were better prospects. And on top of all this, we had the Tax Commissioner's warning, which also sent some shivers through many employed accountants, I'm told, when the Commissioner said, you must understand that if your business model is high volume, low margin, simple tax returns, your business will not be viable in 3 to 5 years. Now, Mr. Jordan made that comment about 18 months ago at a conference in Sydney. So looking at these timetable, we're talking now 18 months to 3.5 years is what he's saying, these significant changes. You just will not take on expanding into advisory services and immediately get the fee income that you might be trying to seek. So you need to get started and work your way into offering advisory services. I wouldn't leave it to the 18 months' time to start. I think you should be starting now. You should be starting today to get involved in this whole process. The Tax Commissioner said that accountants and bookkeepers should be diversifying to remain viable for the longer term and focus on becoming a brilliant and trusted advisor. An advisor to help your clients plan their future, to have predicting accounting reports whereby they can look at what their balance sheet should look like if they go ahead and implement what they've included in their budget in 3, 5, 10 years' time. Working on current and future activities rather than being an historian of past events. That's the challenge. We also featured Jordan Lowry, Managing Director of Blackstone Business Group. He's an expert in human resources and people issues. Jordan indicated that it's an employee's market at present. Cost of living is high, interest rates are high, security of employment is a high concern, and more accountancy firms are already moving into the business advisory area. He pointed out that many employees now assess any offers that they receive, whereas a couple of years ago they would have just laughed at some of the proposals that they may have received. They're seriously looking at them, according to Jordan. Talent attraction and retention is a major issue for accounting firms, he told me, when I spoke to him yesterday on the telephone. And although salary is important, potential employees are very interested in the culture of a new business that they may be considering that they may join them. But one of the big issues, Jordan says, is that you should be instigating quarterly 360-degree reviews so that you can give feedback to your employed accountants, but also so they can give feedback to you as to what their concerns are, what their issues are, what changes they would like to see made. I've summarised all of that in a comment then that I've made that I will lead you to read, but in the main, I'm backing Andrew Geddes' comments on his suggestions. And I've given you an example of what used to happen in banks when we had bank managers. They're not as frequent these days, or they don't seem to be as available as what they used to be. But when you used to go and negotiate a deal for a client, I would turn up with my client, and the bank manager would walk in, and he'd walk in with him would be a younger person. And we'd get introduced, and the younger person just sat at one end of the room, one end of the table, and took the minutes, and from that developed the action plan. This was part of their training. A number of those people that I remember over the years have been the minute takers, ended up very senior people in banks. In fact, one ended up a state manager, that I can remember him sitting in the corner taking the notes. Banks saw it as an essential part of team training. I think you can do the same thing, and that will give your team members the challenges that they need. If you have any questions on any aspect of what we're talking about in this talent attraction and retention is very important. And I think it is strategy number one for 2024. And ESS BizTools can offer you the advisory service packages to enable you to start delivering these services, which will give your team members some enthusiasm to be involved in the day-to-day work in an accountancy or bookkeeping firm. Stay safe. Have a great day. Goodbye.